Now, we're going to show you the 2-minute version of a 4-minute video. You may want to go watch the whole thing. Mike Lawler, fan of two-way, comes on the platform, was on just the other day. Mike Lawler decided to go by Hakeem Jeffries' press conference and make him an offer to sign on to a 1-year extension of the Affordable Care Act subsidies. And rather than accept Mike Lawler's offer, Hakeem Jeffries got into a back and forth. Now, do you know Hakeem Jeffries? Do you know his modus operandi pretty well, Hans?
I've covered him for since
Yeah.
he's like last couple years.
Okay.
Yeah, I
So
got a
apparently,
pretty good sense of him.
apparently, he likes to ask people or say to people, "You're embarrassing yourself." Have you ever heard him say that? Apparently, he likes.
I've heard him say that about
Yeah,
Republicans,
they're
like kind of like
embarrassing.
Ben. He
They're,
like that's
yeah,
one of his ticks. Like bend the knee is
yeah.
another one.
You're embarrassing yourself. So he said this. Here's a confrontation. Again, I like both these gentlemen. They both represent New York State. The Sumner Brooks affair when there was caning on the floor of the Senate certainly would be more than this, but this is about as heated as you'll see. Two members, and again, this is the short version because we can't spend the whole show on this. Here is Mike Lawler confronting Hakeem Jeffries, and this is number 14, please.
So good.
We got a 1-year extension. Why don't we sign on right now?
Let me ask you a question.
Did you get
permission from your boss?
Why don't we sign on right now?
Did your boss, Donald Trump?
You can easily extend
Did
the
your
ACA
did your
right
boss,
now.
Donald Trump,
He's
give
not
you
my
permission?
boss.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not. And by the way,
So let me ask you a
why
question.
did you vote to
Let me
shut
ask
the
you a
government
question.
down?
You
Why
know
did
I
you vote to shut it down?
Let me ask you a question.
For years, you always
Well,
lectured about how
making-
we need to
you're
keep the
making
government
a,
open.
You're making a show of this to
No,
make
it's
yourself
sad.
relevant.
It's sad. You could
It's
easily
an
sign on to
You're
this.
embarrassing
You
yourself
could
right
sign
now.
on to this. The only
You're
embarrassment
chasing
here is
clout.
you.
You're an
You could
embarrassment.
sign on to the bill.
Let me ask you a question.
You have 4 Democrats on here.
Let me
Why
ask you a
won't you
question.
sign on
Let me ask
to
you a
it?
question.
It's a
Let
clean
me ask you
extension
a
for 1
question.
year.
You voted for the one big
Clean
ugly bill,
extension.
correct?
I voted for a
The
tax cut
largest-
bill that gave the
the
largest tax
cut-
cut
the
to
largest-
Americans in history,
the
including, by
largest-
the way, the average New Yorker getting a $4,000 tax cut. Are you against that?
You're embarrassing
Do you want
yourself
to
right
you want
now.
to cut the standard deduction in
The
half? Is that
largest
what you
cut
wanted
to
to do?
Medicaid in
No, we
American
rooted
history.
out
You voted
waste,
for that.
fraud, and abuse, by the
You
way.
voted
Tom DiNapoli, the
for a
Democratic
permanent-
controller of New York,
Let me ask you a question.
pointed out that $1.2 billion
If you're
were
gonna-
wasted.
Listen, you're not going
wasted,
to talk.
wasted,
You're not going to talk to
wasted
me. You're not
on
going to talk to me
fraud
and talk
and
over
non-New
me
York residents
because you don't
getting
want to
paid.
hear what I have to say.
Oh, I'm
So
listening.
why don't
Go
you
ahead.
just keep your mouth shut?
Oh,
because you
is
showed
that-
up.
is that the way to
you
talk?
showed up. You showed up.
Yeah.
And so you voted for this one
I
big
signed
ugly
on
bill.
for this. You can extend it
A
right now.
permanent extension of massive tax breaks for your billionaire donors.
So 90% of
So
Americans.
they can get a permanent extension.
90% of
but
Americans
working
take the
class
standard
Americans
deduction.
can't? Is that right?
90% of Americans take the standard deduction,
Is that right?
If you had your way, the standard deduction would have been cut in half. That
No
would have been a
one-
massive tax increase on
one-
Americans all across the country.
You're
You support
here,
that?
unfortunately.
You're
to
against
do
lifting the cap on
bidding
salt?
Of your billionaire donors.
The
That's
billionaire
unfortunate.
donors lifting the
That's
cap on
correct.
salt. We put a income cap in place.
Why are you here right now?
An income
Where the
cap.
re- where the rest
Didn't
of
you
your
want all
Republican
Republicans
colleagues?
to be here?
Where
I'm
the rest,
here.
Where are the rest of your Republican
You wanted
colleagues?
Republicans to be here. I'm here.
Why are you
And
here?
by the way,
What-
you can
what-
pass an ACA extension right now. Sign
your
on to
boss-
this bill.
Did your boss
sign
Donald
on
Trump-
to the bill?
Is your boss Donald Trump behind that?
HR
guy?
5145. Why don't you get on it?
Mike, is your boss Donald Trump behind that?
Why
guy?
won't you get on it?
Because you don't work for the American people.
Oh, I do. I
You
work
don't
for the people of New
17th
York. I
congressional
work for the
district.
people of my district.
Is that why you? Is that
I'm
why
here.
You got 145.
And by the way, I voted
people
for
on
a
Medicaid.
clean CR to keep the government open
Mike,
and funded.
you're-
You voted to shut it
You're
down.
embarrassing yourself right
Yeah,
now.
leader, with all due
Or as we
respect,
would say
you're
back
the
in the day,
one.
why are you playing yourself?
You're the one
Why are you
who
playing
actually
yourself with
voted
these
to shut the
theatrics?
government down.
Actually, you
It's
know
sad.
that's not true.
It's sad. You voted to shut the government down.
Do Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the president?
Right, and
correct?
you're smart enough to know
Is
that,
that
you
right?
need 60 votes in the Senate,
Is
right?
that right? No.
Do you need 60 votes in the Senate
Was
or no?
60 votes needed to pass your one big ugly bill?
Reckon.
Eek. Hans, what are your top line thoughts about that exchange?
In the House of Parliament, in the House of Commons in Parliament, the two sides are sword length apart, right? And so you come to Washington and you think you're going to get more of that, right? You come to Washington, at least for me, in high school, you're watching Crossfire, you think there are going to be a lot of debates. Mostly you see an empty House chamber and you see people talking to the cameras, and it's really not that dynamic. Sometimes in committee hearings, things get a little chippy. That was democracy. That was smash mouth democracy. That was great. I don't know who won.
Yeah. Well,
I mean-
is there substance embedded in that exchange? Is some principled substantive dispute, or it was just like the dozens?
No, they were talking over each other too much. I mean, is there substance in a food fight? No.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, that was a political food fight. No one landed any blows. They both kind of I don't know. I don't know how they feel about it. We should ask Lawler how.
Yeah.
I guess the better question here is like, how will that be shared on social,
Yeah.
and how will get shaped by social, and who
Yeah.
will like have be deemed to have won that?
Will it be on the network evening newscasts that are beginning right now? Or
If you and I were running it, if you and I
Yeah.
were like running it, we'd break into specials with that. Right?
Yeah, maybe. A word from our first sponsor. I got a great email today from somebody who said it was all about politics, blah, 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 Trump, all this stuff. And then the last line said, a new paragraph, Mark, you're so right about the Cozy Earth pants. I own 6 of them. So our first sponsor, Cozy Earth, might be happy to hear that because they make great stuff. Viscose from bamboo, sheets, the bubble cuddle blanket, all extraordinary stuff. Really comfortable. Keeps you cool when it's hot. Keeps you hot when it's cool. And the pants are extremely comfortable. I recommend them, as you know. Go right now to CozyEarth.com. Use my code 2way for 20% off your full purchase. Promo code 2way. If you want to buy a half dozen pair of pants, definitely put in like the subject line, Mark Halpern told you to buy half a dozen pair of pants. Because home isn't just where you live, it's how you feel. Let's go home with Cozy Earth. Again, go to CozyEarth.com. Use the code 2way for 20% off your purchase.
They say that something that's easy is like a walk in the park. Well, easier than a walk in the park, hit the subscribe button, be part of the 2way community, never miss an episode, be part of our conversations. Thank you for your service to America.
And don't forget, you can now listen to the morning meeting and 2way tonight on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.